So, apologies for the delay, but this is my latest Risdiplam or Evrysdi update. I did start vlogging about my experience of taking the first oral treatment for people with spinal muscular atrophy, and being honest, life got in the way and the regularity of these has completely stopped. And I was hoping to do this sooner, but this has been on my to-do list for about a year. So today I've got my carer sitting the other side of the camera. She's going to ask me some questions about the treatment from based on the comments that people have left on my previous YouTube and Instagram videos. And I'm going to try and give you an update. And conveniently, it's exactly 2 years and 2 days since I started the treatment, and that probably has just ruined the first question that was going to be asked. So there you go. This is not scripted. This is not like stage. This is generally. So yeah, the first question was, how long have you been on the treatment? And I've been on the treatment 2 years and 2 days. So anyway, I'm going to hand over now to my carer, Christy, who's going to ask me some questions from the other side of the camera. And yeah, hope you enjoy the video. Leave some comments below, and I'll try and not leave it as long for my next update.
Right, okay, so you've been on Risdiplam for 2 years now. When do you take your medicine?
So I take my medicine every morning after breakfast, but my life is quite varied with work and football and sometimes having a lay in at the weekends. So it's that 6 hour window. So some mornings I might take it at 6:30, 7 o'clock if I'm leaving to go somewhere for work or football. So I'll make sure I have a quick bowl of cereal or something just to line the stomach. Other days, like today, I've had a day off work. I didn't eat my breakfast till like, what, 10:30, 11, and probably had it at about 11:30. And yesterday, I must have had it around a similar time, 11:52 yesterday. So I'm consistent, but I do keep a record. I think that's the important thing. So we've got an app that my carers and me can all access, and we just keep a record of the date and time and the dose number that was given, so that we can keep within that 6 hour window every single day.
And how long does each bottle last you?
So I get, I think you'll know the answer to this better.
It's 12
Yeah,
doses per bottle.
we get 12 doses per bottle. There was a little incident a few weeks ago where I think we only got 11 because maybe there'd been a millimetre two or more given to me in a dose during that time. But yeah, we're very consistent, and we get 12 doses per bottle of 6.6 mil.
But if you give too much, it can affect your eyesight.
Yeah. So obviously
You
don't
don't want
don't
to give
overdose
too
on it.
much.
But yeah, I get 12 doses per bottle generally.
And have you had any side effects in the time that you've been taking it?
So in terms of side effects, I already have some form of undiagnosed irritable bowel syndrome style problems. And I know that a lot of people who have taken Risdiplam reported problems with their guts and even stopped taking it. So it's hard to say whether I experienced those problems. So I can't say that I've experienced gut problems because I don't know, because I generally have problems in that area already. Um, I do think some days I get fatigued, and I don't know why or how, but I definitely feel more tired taking Risdiplam than I did before. And I think some days I also get like hangry headaches if I don't hydrate and eat properly. I know that before I could go days where if I didn't eat that much, it didn't used to impact me, but it's definitely doing something to your metabolism, because I know that if I don't keep my fluids up and I don't eat sort of 3 square meals a day, that it doesn't feel great. But I wouldn't say on the whole I've had any major side effects.
How is the impact of treatment monitored?
So every 6 months, I go to a hospital, and I was going to St George's because they were the people who first administered me with the drug. But I recently transferred to my local hospital in Cambridge, which is Adherence, and I've been there for one assessment. So I've had 3 assessments every 6 months, um, at 2 different hospitals where they go through the Hammersmith scale. So you repeat the same sort of task. So from memory, they do some stretching of the legs and the arms to check the range. They asked me to lift a heavy little sort of metal weight from my lap onto the table. They rip a piece of paper in half. They give you a little IKEA light that you kind of like a counter light that you can stick under your counter that you try and push the center of it to turn on. They ask you to draw a line around like a racetrack without lifting the pencil off the paper. So I've had that 3 times, and I know that in the first time there was some gains, but I haven't actually had the results from the last one. I also have to go and have my respiratory function checked. And again, whilst there was an initial improvement, my last checkup showed a slight deterioration in my lung function and lung strength. But I don't know whether that was the consequence of some other factors around my care in 2022 that might have impacted that in terms of my swimming and exercise wasn't as regular as I was like. So to summarize, the impact of the drug is assessed every 6 months in a uniformed style where you go through an assessment which lasts about 45 minutes to an hour. But that's a really good reminder that I need to probably check up and see. I think my next checkup is in May time. So they're not exactly running to the date every 6 months because I think transition from one hospital to another, I fall into a different clinic pattern.
Have you, we've touched on it a bit, have you seen any improvements?
So this is a really, really tough question of whether I've seen any improvements from taking Risdiplam. So when I first started the drug in April 2021, my work gave me 2 weeks off to adjust and cater for any side effects. And because I was off work for 2 weeks, I was able to do really intense exercise every day. I was able to swim lots. I was able to really focus on my diet. And I also,
Practicing the things they gave you?
yes, so I was practicing some of the things that they gave me the assessment, like lifting a weight from my lap to a table, and also taking the lid off a Tupperware sort of generic takeaway container. Work then, I returned to work and I noticed that initial boost of progression stopped. So work gave me, I think from memory, a year. I think it was a year nearly, or 6 months of reduced hours. But then I had to make a balance between returning to work full time and balancing the exercise. And I often say to myself, what will my gravestone say? Will it say Ross did loads of exercise every day and was able to give himself a cup of water occasionally, or did he have a really successful career and life and do all the things he wanted to do? So I had to make a really big decision. In an ideal world, I probably, would not work as much as I do, but I've got to pay the bills. So the other thing, and I think me and you spoke about this when we talked about doing this video, because you asked me the question about what would my answer be, and I don't want to put anyone off, but I'd almost need to. I've used this in another blog with my friend Maxwell. I would need Doc Brown to kind of come along with his DeLorean and be able to go back in time and watch myself not take the drug and see what happened for 2 years. So it's a bit of a kind of like catch-22 because none of us know what our lives would have been without taking the drug. And I know some of my friends say in the SMA community who are adults who have stopped taking the drug because they said they just became really weak and lost their ability. And I can see that my left hand sometimes feels weaker. And
You were saying that if some people who've come off it, they get a lot weaker, a lot quicker once they stop taking it. So.
yeah, so there's a lot of reading on Facebook where you can get so caught up in different people's views and experiences. And I do think you need to be really single minded and think about your own life and take a balanced view. So um, until I get the results of my next assessment, I guess that will be a signal of whether there's been an improvement. But I am coming up to 44. You say, as an able-bodied person of nearly 48, that you struggle to keep up with me and all the things I want to do. So I'm not sat at home all day watching TV. I'm at work. I go to football. I get in at 2 in the morning and set my alarm for 7:30, and I'm back on work by 8 o'clock. I like to stay up late. I like to, well, not as late as I used to, but I do pack a hell of a lot into my life. So I don't know whether that my busyness is impacting some of my potential deterioration. So I think, to summarize again, I haven't seen the gains that I was hoping for, but I'm not dead yet. So, and we don't know what it's doing inside. So I guess an analogy I use is you could buy a really nice car and um, but the engine's rubbish underneath. But you put a new engine in it, and the car lasts. We don't know what it's doing inside to our body in terms of some of our like pulmonary and heart sort of functions.
Okay, so you've been away on holiday, and how have you managed taking the drug on a plane and taking it away with you?
So since Risdiplam came out, they've changed the rules a little bit about refrigeration. They're less concerned about it, although you still can't expose it to high temperature changes or shake it. So I thought it was going to be a nightmare taking the medicine away on holiday. And I'm trying to remember now, I reckon since the start of 2022, when we were all allowed to travel again after the pandemic, that I've been on holiday 3 times, four, because I went to, to Paris as well for football, which we won't talk about. So I didn't get a free ice bag from Roche. I bought one off the internet, which, if anyone's struggling to get hold of, I can share the link. It was about £60, and it allows me to carry 2 bottles in there, which is 24 days, and I generally don't go away for more than 2 weeks. And I've got a letter from my pharmacist that says what it is and why I'm taking it, and we carry it through security in our hand luggage, and we carry it upright. And when we get on the plane, we generally ask if they can store it somewhere upright. Some airlines have been really helpful. Virgin Atlantic, shout out to them. They happily put it in their fridge and secured it and gave me it on arrival in my destination. And sorry, British Airways, but you were very unhelpful and refused to do anything with it. So we had to basically put it under our seat and hope that nothing happened. I think I actually had to put it in the overhead locker right at the back and not fall asleep during the flight. I'm trying to think what other flights I've been on. I have been on maybe Emirates, who, again, I can't remember. I think Emirates were reasonably helpful with the medicine from memory, but Virgin were definitely the most helpful. So yeah, and we've had no problems. I think they've taken it to the SWAT side and swabbed it and asked what it is, just doing their thing. But generally, it's been a breeze. And when I went to Paris, it was in the car and nobody checked it anyway.
And then when you get to your destination,
Yeah, getting to your destination. Um, Obviously, you need a fridge, ideally. So hotels that I've stayed in have either had a mini bar where I've taken a few cans of Coke out and stuck Risdiplam in, or I've asked for a fridge. And the ice packs that you need to get refrozen to kind of manage your return journey. Again, hotels have been really accommodating, and I've given them the night before I've checked out, and they've refroze them, and I've just collected them in the morning or the evening before we depart to go home. And I rented a villa which had a full fridge anyway, so again, that was really easy.
would you recommend the drugs to other people that are thinking about taking it?
So if you've not started your Risdiplam journey, and I don't know what it's like around different countries around the world, and I'm hoping that this does reach a global level on YouTube. And I know in America it's all based on your insurances. I can't, a bit like working in the financial services, you can't tell somebody that they should take out a policy. I think you need to think about your own life and what you want from it, and whether um, you want to try this reasonably new drug. Some people are getting gains, some people are not. It's less invasive than Spinraza. I won't answer the next part I'm going to say because I think you're going to ask me a question about that. But I think potentially there's benefits to being on the drug, even if you don't suddenly turn into a weightlifter.
Have you ever skipped a dose?
I've never skipped a dose. I nearly did once because a carer forgot to give it me in the morning, and luckily you were on night shift, handed over to another carer, and you zoomed to the train station and gave me in my mouth with a little glass of water, literally before I jumped on the train. So we nearly did, but no, we've never missed a dose. Even when I've been unwell or I've been on antibiotics for a cold or a cough, I've still taken it with no problems whatsoever.
Have you considered ending the treatment? And if yes, why? No, why?
So I have often laid awake at night thinking this drug hasn't done anything massively fantastic. I'm not giving myself a cup of tea. I'm not eating my own dinner. I haven't got, suddenly this newfound strength. And even my last breathing assessment, as I said earlier, went down a bit. And I've spoke to other, when I say friends, these are people that I've met in the social virtual world through SMA groups, and some of them are quite negative and maybe say to you, oh, what do you think about this? Are you going to stop it? I know some have stopped it and are not so negative. I've just talked about the reasons why, and I I value their reasons for stopping it. I at this moment I'm not going to stop it. Now that might be taken out of my hands because I believe going back to the treatment, the impact measurements of the treatment, if I keep deteriorating, I think they can stop it. The reason I'm currently staying on it is because I've done some reading and I believe there is a clinical trial of another drug. It's called something like amiglobulin and it's produced by Scholar Rock, which is a different kind of combination treatment which focuses on improving the muscle mass in conjunction with Risdiplam. And obviously, if that clinical trial continues or goes into actually non-clinical trials and is available, the precursor is that you need to be taking Spinraza or Risdiplam. So if I stop it, that would mean I wouldn't be eligible for that treatment. And I guess, as I've always said, if my taking of this drug can help people with SMA in the future, then why would I not try and do it, provided it's not doing any harm to me? I think the other thing is somebody said to me the other day, one of my other carers said to me, would you not just continue to have the drug delivered to your house and not take it? And I was like, well, it's £1,000 a bottle nearly. That would be really bad. And there'd be other people that would be so desperate to maybe try it. And that doesn't sit right with my integrity. So no, I wouldn't do that. So I will continue to do it. My next appointment is in May, and we'll probably do a further update after that if I'm more organised and remember to do it.
Do you have any other helpful hints and tips about the drug in general?
I think being organised about kind of keeping a record of when you have it and if you do have any side effects is really useful so that when you have these checkups every 6 months, you've got something you can look back on. I think you can easily blend it into your life. I don't think it's something that you need to worry about. 6 hours is a really big window. So if you choose to take it of an evening and you usually take it with your evening meal, but you go out for dinner for the night, realistically, are you going to be out for 6 hours after an evening meal? If you are, then take it just before you go and maybe have a biscuit or a piece of fruit and a bit of food before you take it. My other hints and tips would be careful what you read on the internet. None of us are doctors. While we know our disability really well, we are not medical experts, and it can get really, I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but you can get really confused reading everybody's information. So read it and take it on the value that it's somebody's opinion. It doesn't necessarily mean that that is for everybody. It's just somebody else's experience. You can always try it if you've not started it and stop it. Equally, if you're on it now and it's not working for you, it's your choice whether you stop or continue. So my advice would be is to, manage this like you manage your disability. We all have SMA, but it impacts us in very different ways. So what rule for one doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be the same rule for everybody else.
Overall thoughts on it in general?
My overall thoughts are, I wouldn't be lying if I said I'm a little bit underwhelmed by it, and I kind of think for the expense of a drug that suddenly isn't making me Hercules is a little bit disappointing. But equally, nothing ventured, nothing gained. You're a long time dead, so there are other developments happening all the time in the medicine world. So again, probably worth carrying on exploring it. It's only 2 years. 2 years is not a lot of time, really. If maybe 5 years down the line it's not doing anything, then maybe it is. But then equally, if I survive another 5 years, I could be doing all right.
Didn't you say to me that it's like after 18 months, some people are actually taking that long to get into the system to do anything?
So I have read, again, going back to some people have said that they've been on it like 18 months, 2 years, and it's only then that they're starting to see the changes. And as I said, I work full time, and I don't intend to not work full time anytime soon. But there may be an opportunity in the next year to look at how I manage my work-life balance and maybe put a bit more effort. And I have been exercising a lot more in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I have noticed that some things are a little bit better again. And I do think that there is a synergy between exercise and not deteriorating, or maybe even gaining moments of strength. So yeah, that's my overall thoughts. So thank you. That's the end of my latest Risdiplam update journey. 22 minutes of your life that could be the greatest 22 minutes you've ever listened to, or could be a complete waste of 22 minutes of your life that you never get back. But anyway, do subscribe, leave a comment, and let me know. And thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed it, I really appreciate it.